In this explainer, we will conduct a detailed examination of the Consumer Protection Act of 2019. This is a significant piece of legislation that has redefined the relationship between consumers and businesses. Our focus will be on its three foundational pillars: the Central Consumer Protection Authority, the Dispute Redressal Mechanism, and the introduction of the Product Liability Doctrine. Our discussion is structured into 5 sections. We will begin with the regulatory framework. Following that, we will examine the redressal machinery. Section 3 will cover the doctrine of product liability. In Section 4, we will review the filing procedure and available remedies. We will conclude with a concise revision of the key takeaways for examination purposes. Let us proceed to Section 1, the regulatory framework. Here, we will analyze the administrative and advisory bodies that are empowered to enforce the provisions of the Act. The cornerstone of this framework is the Central Consumer Protection Authority, or CCPA. It is defined as an independent regulator established to protect and enforce the rights of consumers as a class. The term "as a class" is critical. It signifies that the CCPA is empowered to address issues that affect the entire consumer base, not just individual complainants. The CCPA possesses substantial powers. These include initiating inquiries into violations, ordering the recall of unsafe goods, and imposing significant penalties for misleading advertisements, which can range from 10 to 50 lakh rupees. Supporting the CCPA are the Consumer Protection Councils. These are advisory bodies structured at the central, state, and district levels, with the primary objective of providing advice on the promotion and protection of consumer rights. We will now turn our attention to Section 2, the redressal machinery. This section deals with the quasi-judicial system established for the resolution of consumer disputes. The Act establishes a 3-tiered system of consumer disputes redressal commissions, or CDRCs. Jurisdiction is determined by the pecuniary value of the goods or services in question. The District Commission has jurisdiction for claims up to 1 crore rupees. The State Commission presides over claims valued between 1 crore and 10 crore rupees. For claims exceeding 10 crores, the matter is heard by the National Commission. The enhancement of the District Commission's pecuniary limit is a notable change, positioning it as the primary forum for most consumer complaints. The Act has also introduced significant flexibility regarding territorial jurisdiction. While a complaint can still be filed where the opposite party resides or where the cause of action arose, a new provision has been added. This provision permits the complainant to file a case from the location where they themselves reside or work. This change substantially improves the accessibility of justice for consumers. We now arrive at Section 3, which covers a pivotal component of the 2019 Act, the Product Liability Doctrine. This introduces the legal principle of strict liability into consumer law. The central legal question addressed by this doctrine is this: who is responsible when a defective product or service causes harm, which is defined as injury, property damage, or death? The rule established by the Act is unambiguous. A manufacturer, service provider, or seller is liable to compensate for harm caused by a defective product or a deficient service. This represents a fundamental shift, placing the burden of responsibility directly upon the business entity. Let us examine the application of this liability. A manufacturer is held liable for defects in manufacturing or design. A service provider is liable for faulty performance or the failure to provide necessary safety warnings. A seller can also be held liable, particularly if they have altered the product, or if the original manufacturer cannot be identified. This creates a clear chain of responsibility. The legal conclusion is the application of strict liability. This means a consumer is no longer required to prove that the manufacturer was negligent. If a product is defective and causes harm, the manufacturer is liable, irrespective of intent or negligence. In Section 4, we will discuss the practical aspects of the law, the procedure for filing a complaint, and the remedies that are available to the consumer. The dispute resolution process begins with a legal notice to the seller. Following this, the complaint is drafted with all relevant details. A significant advancement is the ability to file the complaint online using the e-dockil portal. The Commission is mandated to decide on the admissibility of a complaint within 21 days. Failure to do so results in the complaint being deemed admitted. It is important to note the limitation period, which requires that a complaint be filed within 2 years of the incident. If a complaint is successful, the commissions can grant a wide range of remedies. These include the replacement of goods or a refund of the price paid. Furthermore, compensation may be awarded for any loss, injury, or mental agony suffered. The remedies can also extend to matters of public safety, such as ordering the withdrawal of hazardous goods. Finally, a business may be directed to issue corrective advertisements to counteract previous misleading claims. We will now conclude with Section 5, a review of the key takeaways for the purpose of exam revision. In summary, the CCPA protects consumers as a class and can order the recall of goods. The CDRC is the three-tiered court system for dispute redressal. E-filing through the e-Duck-Hail portal provides online access to justice. The doctrine of product liability imposes strict liability on manufacturers and sellers. Finally, the available remedies include refunds, compensation, and public safety orders. Let us conclude with a final question for your consideration. As the legal landscape shifts from caveat emptor, or let the buyer beware, to caveat videtur, meaning let the seller beware, how does the principle of strict liability redefine the responsibility of businesses in the modern marketplace?